Hey, horror fans, once again, it is me, the Horror Miser Minding G. It's time to review the latest interpretation based upon the characters of Bram Stoker's novel Dracula. It is the horror comedy called Renfield. Yes! Hee hee hee!
Don't fuck with them hoes.
Now, Renfield is a 2023 American horror comedy film. It was directed by Chris McKay, written by Ryan Ridley and Robert Kirkman, and again, of course, based upon the characters created by Bram Stoker. Now, the film stars Nicholas Hoult, Nicolas Cage, Aquafina, Ben Schwartz, and Shoru Agasalu. Now, in this film, Renfield, Dracula henchman, and an inmate at the lunatic asylum for decades, longs for a life away from the Count, his various demands, and all the bloodshed that comes with him. He's had enough. I'm going away, Dracula. You do your own stuff. When it comes to Irish author Bram Stoker's famous 1897 novel Dracula, most of the characters have become quite popular besides the Count himself. We have Abraham Van Helsing, whose character has appeared in many horror films, comics, TV show, and novels. He's been everywhere. Not only was a descendant of the character called Quincy, no, well, not Quincy, yeah, Abe, no. It was called, her name was Abigail Van Helsing in the Marvel's comic book Tomb of Dracula. We also have the 2004 Van Helsing movie starring Hugh Jackman and Kate Beckinsale, and then we have the 2016 TV series Van Helsing starring Kelly Overton as Vanessa Van Helsing, a descendant of Abraham Van Helsing. Also, Mia Harker has also appeared in many horror films, books, and novels, and she's one of the main characters in the comic book series and the 2003 film A League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. Also other characters have become popular from Bram Stoker's novel Dracula. Out of all the characters that has become popular in Bram Stoker's novel is R.M. Renfield, Dracula's servant. The guy doesn't get any respect whatsoever. While the character has been featured in many of the adaptations of Dracula, he hasn't reached the status that the other characters have. Not as popular as Van Helsing, not as popular as Mina Harker. Some of the other characters have become popular when it comes to Bram Stoker's novel, but not Renfield. Now, that might change with American film writer-director Chris McKay's latest entry called Renfield. Yes, Renfield's about to get some respect. Now, after a brief summary about how Renfield became Dracula's servant, we see that Renfield, or I should say Robert Montague Renfield, has become weary of Dracula's treatment from him and has joined a 12-step self-help group of people who are in codependent relationships. While attempting to kill a drug dealer who is abusing a fellow group member so that he can also have Dracula feed on him, he winds up killing an assassin as well. And nothing goes right for Renfield. Now, this brings him into conflict with a rival drug gang called the Lobos. So them, along with the New Orleans Police Department and Dracula's wrath. He's just getting hit from side to side. There's no rest for the weary for Renfield. Just on that plot alone, there's a lot going on here. And you have to give Chris McKay credit for taking a very complex story that David Riley and The Walking Dead writer-creator Robert Kirkman have created here and make it a fun, bloody, gory, and funny horror comedy. So you got to give Chris McKay credit because, like I said, there's a lot going on here. You have, Renfield trying to break away from Dracula's wrath. Dracula gets on his nerves because Dracula said, "You're not doing what I want you to do because you're in my thrall." Then he has the Lobos going after him. Then he's also involved with the situation that it brings in New Orleans, the police department. So you got everything thrown at the kitchen sink for Renfield. And Chris McKay does a pretty good job of presenting it on the film. The one thing I really did enjoy about this film is the relationship between Renfield and Dracula. While they're not a real couple, the film treats their relationship like one, with Renfield being the submissive one and Dracula being the alpha male or dominant one in the relationship. So again, it's not like they're in some type of relationship, but the film treats them like they are a couple. Despite everything what Renfield does for Dracula, he's never happy with him. He never shows his appreciation for all the killing that Renfield does for him. Renfield goes out of his way, especially in modern times, You can barely get away with what Renfield tried to do for him. Dracula's never happy. Just treats him like crap. It kind of reminds me of the relationship between Harley Quinn and the Joker, where despite everything what Harley Quinn does for the Joker, he's never happy with her. He never shows his appreciation for everything what Harley Quinn does for her. It's that same type of relationship that I saw in between them, and I see that same situation here between Renfield and Dracula. Another thing I love about the film is the character growth that Renfield goes through throughout the film. From his relationship with the group, his bonding with New Orleans police officer Rebecca, Renfield gradually learns that he doesn't need to depend upon Dracula and stands up for himself. It's sort of like in real life when you have these type of relationships, when the person that's being a submissive one finally realizes that he doesn't need or she doesn't need that person any longer in their life, and they finally grow and realize I don't need you anymore, and they step away from that relationship. Also, for the first time, we get a little small backstory of Renfield's life and the reasons why he decided to become Dracula's for me. I won't reveal them because this is not a I'm not going to spoil anything about the film, but it's nice to see for the first time we actually get a sort of a small backstory of what was Renfield's life before his encounter with Dracula, which we have never seen in any of the other interpretations of Bram Stoker's novel. Now, the reason why the film is so good is because of the chemistry between Nicholas Hoult and Nicolas Cage. Now, Holt portrays Renfield as a scared, belittled, and fearful man who wants to be free from Dracula's control, but for some reason in the beginning of the film doesn't have the strength or the courage to do so. Well, we also realize as we get to learn some more about Renfield's backstory, he feels as though that he deserves this because of what he gave up, and this is his fate, and this is what he has to do because he feels as though he doesn't deserve any happiness. Not just as good as Nicholas Hoult is in the film, you could tell that Nicolas Cage is having fun as he is perfect as Count Dracula. Now, he brings his own style in playing the Count, and he doesn't copy from any of the other actors who have played Count. Whether it's Jack Palance, Frank Langella, obviously Ben Lugosi, or the late great Christopher Lee, even Gary Oldman, he puts his own spin on the Count, and he does a fantastic job of doing so. Now, Aquafina is good as Rebecca, a cop who has her own unresolved issues in the film, whether it's dealing with the Lobos, and she also has a good bonding moments with Renfield. I believe her and Nicholas Hoult have some good bonding moments as well, too. Now, there are plenty of funny moments in the film, especially dealing with Renfield and Dracula's relationship. And I love how McKay uses Renfield's obsession with eating insects in this is in a different manner than what we see in other films. I won't reveal what that is, but I love what he does with Renfield's obsession with eating insects. Now, we've had plenty of blood and gore in this film. McKay uses them in some very bloody and gory moments throughout the film. There's one particular scene, I would say, right through in the middle of the second act. I won't reveal that it was, but there's a scene that's like, oh, you can see what was happening. And yeah, so you've gorehounds and bloodhounds, you're going to be very satisfied with the amount of blood and gore that's in this film. You really got to give them credit. They did a fantastic job. There are some CGI effects in this film as well, but they're blended quite well with the practical effects. Overall, despite the simple and sometimes cliched story, we have a very excellent horror comedy here. And I think when it comes to horror comedy, it's very hard because you don't know where you want the film to be taken seriously and have comedic moments, or you just want to be over the top comedy and have some blood in it. But I think Chris McKay did a fantastic job in blending both genres in, and we have a real great horror comedy here. Now, it also takes a very serious matter, people who suffer from codependent relationships, and it makes fun of it. There are some funny moments on it, but it doesn't insult those people. So I thought they did a fantastic job of how they displayed this very particular subject matter, have some laughs with it, but don't insult it. And like I said before, it's a bloody, gory, good time with some great performances and all involved. Everyone's going to love Renfield. So I'm going to give Renfield 4 out of my 5 bloody gold coins. Yes, giving it 4 out of my 5 bloody gold coins. I think this is one of Nicolas Cage's great performances. Nicholas Hoult, Aquafina, everyone's doing a good job here. So great job on this particular film. You guys are going to love it. So there you have it. That's my video for the day, guys. Hope you did enjoy it. If you did, please give it a thumbs up, like, and share because it really does help out with that YouTube algorithm. Have you seen Renfield? What do you thought about the film? Please leave your comments in the comment section below. Also, if you're new here, please hit that subscriber button, ring that notification bell. That way, you'll be notified anytime when I put a new video such as this one. Once again, my name's Lamont Smith, better known as the Horror Miser Monty G, and always remember that horror rolls. And I see you in my next video. Y'all guys stay safe out there.